LPL presents Fabricadabra. Hi, my name's Michelle, and today we are going to make an Oxford shirt apron. For this project, you'll need an old shirt, a cutting utensil, and a straight edge. As you see in the video, I'm going to cut from the top of the collar all the way to under the armpit of the shirt. You see, I'm gesturing. I made a mark with a pin to know where to cut. I'm lining up my straight edge from the collar to under the armpit in a straight line. Alrighty. And I'm cutting down. Might take a couple tries because shirts are pretty thick. All right, so I've cut off the sleeve of the shirt, but I also need to cut off a little bit of the back because it's all connected. So that's what I'm doing here. We're gonna cut just straight back to where the sleeve is completely unattached. So there's the sleeve. You could also use that for pockets. You could use the sleeve to do whatever you'd like with it because we won't be needing it. Except if you want it for decoration. So we're going to do the same to the other side. You can see my line on the shirt that I made with pin. And you see it goes from the collar all the way down past the arm of the shirt, where the arm meets the trunk of the shirt. I'm taking my straight edge and lining it up. And we're going to cut straight down as indicated. And this time I cut a little further, and so I didn't have to make that extra cut. And so now we have the front of the apron essentially taking shape. Now we're going to separate the front of the shirt from the back of the shirt. We're going to be cutting the back of your Oxford shirt off. So you see I'm rearranging the fabric. I'm trying not to cut the front of the shirt when I cut the back of the shirt. So I've kind of adjusted it where the arms were so that you can clearly see where the back of the shirt is versus the front so we don't cut our apron. So I'm adjusting it. I'm also going to go ahead and cut the collar. The collar is going to be used as the around the neck fastener for the apron. And so right here, because I'm using a rotary cutter, I didn't cut as close as I probably would like. So see, I'm having trouble with the tag, so that might be an issue. So you can cut it however you like, and you can always go back and trim it. So it's better to leave more fabric if you can't get a detailed cut like I just did. So now you can see the side. And you can also, showing you in the video, the side seam of the shirt should be about where you should start. You just have to make sure that the front of the shirt isn't behind the back of the shirt or you'll cut both. So what I did is I just cut down the side seam of the shirt and I left about a ½ inch, quarter inch past the seam so that we can have something to roll later when we attach the side ties. We're doing the same on the other side. Find the side seam of the shirt and then cut the back off, leaving about a ½ inch, quarter inch of fabric past the side seam. So now we have the front of the apron. I'm going to button these buttons real quick so that it's all stuck together. And it's starting to take shape. Okay, and now you can see the front of the apron. And yeah, it looks like I'm going to trim off this part that's past the collar just to neaten it up a little bit. You don't want to cut past the seam. But okay, so now we're going to take the back of the shirt, and as I indicated to you in the video, this is the back of the shirt. We're going to use this part of the shirt to make any ties or any bias tape that you want to use for your apron. I'm using my straight edge here. I'm going to try to go in the back of the shirt, starting at what's called the yoke, which is right under the collar, and cut straight down. I have to make a couple cuts because my shirt is bigger than my cutting mat. So that's what I'm doing here, scooting it up so that I can cut the rest. And here we go. Do-do-do. All right, so now we have a strip cut on one side, and you should need about 1.5 inches, 2 inches. It depends on how thick you want your side straps to be. I'm cutting off the yoke of the shirt like I mentioned earlier so that I have just one piece of the back. Now I'm lining up my straight edge to make the second cut down to make the first strap. Here we go, cutting down. Still cutting. All right, so now we have one strip of fabric for one of our straps, and now we have to do it again to get the second strap. Ta-da! All right, so here I initially measured to cut, and then I thought better of it and put the other strip on top of the rest of the fabric so that my straps could be similar in width. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, I'm putting it back down so that I know that the straps are at least similar in length, width rather. All right. Removing the first strap, and then we're going to cut our second strap. So now we have two straps that are similar widths. And there they are. Okay, so first we're going to create a bias tape. And to do that, we're going to fold the strip in half like an airplane or a hot dog, up and down like I just indicated. You can press your strap at this point if you wish. That would make it easier to create the bias tape. Then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to unfold it and then halfway fold the strip, as I'm doing in the video, and make each side meet in the middle, sort of like you're folding a paper airplane. You fold it in half, then you fold the two sides in, and then you're going to fold it in half one more time so that those raw edges are encased inside the rest of the fabric, and that makes your bias tape. If you're interested, you could also do this, not sew it like I'm about to do, and you can attach it to the edges of the top of the apron, and that way it'll have a finished edge rather than just a cut edge on the top of your apron. But right now we're gonna load it up in the sewing machine. Lifted my foot, placed it down, and since I didn't press it, it's a little fiddly to get the bias tape folded, but once you get started, it's easy. It falls into a pattern pretty well. You might have to adjust it as you sew. You know, it's not a race. Take your time. Pause if you need to readjust. Here I am sewing away. You can see I'm guiding the material through the sewing machine, pulling it through the back. But now I'm adjusting the bias tape. And keep sewing, just keep sewing, just keep sewing. All the way to the end. You can back stitch at the end if you like so that the cord won't fray. Cutting off my thread here. Okay. Here's a close-up view of what I did before. This is the second strap. So we fold in half. You press, then open it up and take that half and fold it towards the center. then the second half towards the center, all the way down the length of your strap. And here I am folding the second part down so that the two raw edges meet in the middle. And now we're going to fold it in half one more time so that all pieces, all raw edges are hidden, and that way they won't fray through repeated use. All right, and now here I am sewing. Just sew straight down. You just want to make sure that those raw edges are tucked inside the fabric. Your last fold. You don't want them to come apart. As you can see, I'm further adjusting it as it's sewing to keep that shape. If you press it, it's a lot easier. I just didn't have an iron today to press it for me. All right, and here I'm doing a back stitch to make sure that the strap doesn't fray and stays together. And then I ran it again just to be sure. And so now we have two straps. Okay, so next we're going to attach the straps to the sides of the apron. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach it where the edge that we cut first ends. And I take the end that I want to attach, and then you see I'm folding it down and making like a little hem on the side, which is why I suggested leaving a little bit of room after the seam of the side seam of the Oxford shirt. And so I'm ready to sew. Folding it around. And we're just going to sew straight down. At first, since we're going through a lot of fabric on the first part, it might take a little while. It might be a little tricky, but see, I'm moving the strap out of the way so it doesn't get sewn down. And we're just sewing straight down the side seam, making sure that it's folded to make a hem for the edge of your apron. Nice and easy, straight down, and you can stop and adjust if you need, or adjust while you're sewing, depends on how comfortable you are with your machine. But we're almost done. All right, now we're to the bottom of the shirt. And now we're ready to do the other side. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm showing you to take your edge, roll it under. I have to do it backwards this time so that you can see it better. So I'm going to start from the bottom and work my way up to the top instead of the top down because it's on the other side. At home, you can sew it the other way. It's just because I'm recording a video that I've done it this way. Because I want you to be able to see a little bit of what I'm doing. And sewing machines are pretty much the same, but okay. Now we're ready to sew. I'm sewing up the shirt this time, following the edge I created, making a little hem on the side so it doesn't fray, and then it'll also attach the side straps to my apron. And yep, we're at the edge here. I'm going to do a little back stitch to make sure that stays on, since I kind of sewed it the opposite way. And there you have it, a Oxford shirt repurposed apron. Happy sewing!